Jazakumullah khair for coming, bro. And what's your name?
Taofiq Weymouth.
Taofiq. Nice to meet you, bro. And where are you from? That kind of stuff. Give us your background.
I was born in Camden. So I was born in Camden, but I moved out of Camden when I was around 8. I was born in Queen's Crescent, Camden. We went to school there, but moved to Hackney when I was 8 years old.
Okay. So originally you're born here. Family also originally from here?
No, so both my parents are Nigerian, born in Nigeria, raised in Nigeria. I think my dad moved here probably mid-20s, late 30s. My mum was here early 20s.
Okay. Early 20s as in their age in...
Yeah, different. My dad's older than my mum.
That's natural back home.
Nigerian.
Where in Nigeria are they, like Igbo, Yoruba, what?
Yoruba. So my whole family's Yoruba, yeah.
Okay. I know a little bit about the different clans.
Yeah?
Come on. We've got Nigerian friends, so yeah. But yeah, so your family came here. You was born here.
Yeah.
What was school like?
School's always easy for me. I'm the youngest of 4 in my house, and there's 4 boys.
Okay, 5 altogether.
Yeah, no. So I'm the youngest
of 4.
Youngest of 4, but there's 8. So I've got the oldest. I got 4 half siblings.
Okay, from that.
Yeah, dad's side before my mum, and then I got 4. I got 3 of us, and then me. So I'm the youngest of all of them.
Okay.
So
the whole 8.
Yeah.
But do you all live here, or your dad's side still lived over
Dad's side was in, so it was mix and match. So like the oldest of my dad's side was in Nigeria, and one of his daughters was in Nigeria, and then one of his sons and the daughter was here. So I kind of grew up with 2 of them. So I know them well, like as in family, I know them well. But as in, if I were to class my fam, like my actual family, my inner circle, I would say that's my brother. My brothers.
Your brothers that you grew up with, basically. So school, you said you done well? Yeah,
so in school I was cool. I was in primary school. I had a bad temper as a kid. So in primary school, like, I got excluded in primary school. Like, when people get excluded in primary school, they normally think you're just a bad dude because naturally not many people get excluded from primary school, naturally. But I got excluded in primary school, but that was just because I think the people I was around, like my best friend had ADHD when I was a kid. I didn't know, at the time when I was in school, I didn't know what ADHD was. I just knew he used to take pills, and I used to always want to...
He used to?
Yeah, like, you know, like they used to calm him down, whatever. I used to always get jealous, like, why you get to take that and I don't get to... Like, I was one of them like type of kids. Yeah, like, why does he always get that and I don't get 3 times a day? Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I used to be like that kind of kid that asks questions and stuff. But yeah, primary school was fine. Like, I was a good kid. I was never a bad kid. I had my anger issues or whatnot. And then I think...
Was that in Camden or Hackney?
That was in Camden. So I always went to school in Camden.
What school was that? What was that?
Colton. So in Queen's Crescent, like Queen's Crescent kind of like a notorious area in Camden. So like I grew up on Penshurst Estate. So if you're from Camden, you will know Penshurst Estate. It's like, or how would I explain it? If you go from like Camden Lock, you basically come down the main road and you're going towards Royal Free Hospital. So it's like in the middle of like Camden and Hampstead. But it was a weird area to grow up in because obviously when you're from Camden, you wouldn't associate Camden as being like a bad area. Like, I was heavy Somalian. Like I grew up with a lot of Somalians, like, because I think when I was younger, a lot of Somalians moved to Camden. So naturally, then there became a divide, and there was like a big Somalian community. This is like, I would say like a big black
African Congolese or something, isn't it?
Congolese, yeah. So I grew up with my best friends as kids was all Congolese. Like all my best friends were Congolese.
Muslims or non-Muslims?
Non-Muslims. So I'll be honest, I grew around non-Muslims. Most of my life was around non-Muslims. I would say I had to seek finding Muslims, like seeking to come around Muslims. Most of my life, it was more, obviously, my household and then outside. And obviously, I grew around a lot of like, so I don't like, obviously, because my mum and dad work so hard, I don't like to downplay. You know them kids when you say, oh yeah, I grew up in a struggle, and I don't like to say that because I know how hard my parents work, but it was a kind of environment where my mum and dad would leave the house maybe 6 a.m. for work. My mum's a midwife now, but she's been a midwife for about 15 years. But before, 10 to 15 years, but before that, obviously, she was working jobs and whatnot. My dad had a struggle. Like, obviously, my dad had to work all the time. So they're out from 6 till like 6 or 7. So remember, to go to school, I used to have to go to a nanny. So I used to leave my house at 6 a.m., go to the nanny downstairs in the estate, stay with like Catty. Her name was Catty. Catty used to like give me breakfast and whatnot. Then she'll drop me to primary school. So this was from primary school.
Just you or your other siblings?
Just me, because
you're the
the
youngest.
gap between me and my oldest brother is 4 years. My second one is 4. 10 years between me and my oldest.
Oh, okay.
So they used to do their own thing. And then I used to just get dropped with a nanny. And then from about 8 years old, I used to walk to school on my own. So I used to say to my mum, like, oh, like this nanny thing's dead. Like, she'll be making me watch that ITV news in the morning eating Weetabix. I used to say, my mum, you can trust me, like, allow me, like, let me walk there. So then I used to be the first one in the school building every day. Like, without a doubt, from about year 3, year 4, I was the first kid in that school every single day. Because I used to get to school, I'd wake up when my family would wake up, and I would get to school like 8 o'clock, started at 9. And obviously,
1 hour early.
You have to pay for breakfast club, so I never used to go breakfast club. I'd just be in the playground, bro. Rain, sun, snow, I was just there, bro.
And would you say that's where you started, playing by yourself on football?
Yeah, so, and then naturally on the way home, I would walk home with my brother, because when I was in year 3 or year 2, he was probably like year 6. Then when he left, it was when I had to do that on my own. And then I got into football purely based because when I was in year 3, he was in year 6. And my mum used to say, like, I don't like you walking home on your own. You're either going to have to go to play centre or you come home with your brother. My brother and his friends would just play football in the playground. So after about 2 weeks of just watching them play football, I said, I'm not doing this no more. It's boring. And I jumped into the thing. And naturally, I was just better than some of his friends and like one of the better ones there. And then there was...
They're 3 years older than you.
Exactly.
3, 4.
And obviously, I've always been big for my age. So you wouldn't know. Like, I had a reputation from young. Like when my brother would tell you he had a birthday party when he was really young. And one of my brother's friends done something, and apparently I punched him in the face and I made him cry in front of all of his friends. He was really young. But I never knew, but I had a reputation for being like this. They used to call me like Mike Tyson on my estate. They used to call me like Mike Tyson because I was angry. I was a little angry boy just running around, and I was
puncher.
Yeah. So
did you finish primary school in Camden or you left?
Yeah, so I finished primary school in Camden. So what happened with my childhood went a bit messy. So when I got to year 5, my older brother he was getting in trouble because of the area we're from. QC's like that was the gang where we're from. And I think my brother got arrested. And then we went to my brother. So my circle of friends, we all had older brothers that were all circle of friends. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So imagine the day that my brother got arrested, because basically as kids, things would happen in the Hampstead Heath area, things would go off. And then that day my brother got arrested with his friends, and they were saying that they matched the description of somebody who's been robbing people, blah, blah, blah. So they all got taken into cells and they was there for the night. And then in the morning, we had to go pick them up to go obviously get them released. But that night, or during that day, me and my brother's friend, little brother, we had a fight when we were out and about. So we had a fight with each other. Okay. So then imagine the next morning, we've all turned up to the police station to see each other for the first time since this fight, to pick up our older brothers because they both got arrested for whatever. So we're sitting there, like imagine you're sitting there, and we're normally best friends, and I'm doing this. And then you're sitting there, and our parents looking at us thinking, what's wrong with you two? Kind of thing.
I had a little tiff.
So, and then I just remember after that happening, I was young, so I just remember after that happening, we moved.
He was in secondary school, your older brother?
Yeah, my older brother was in secondary school at the time.
You were in your last year of primary?
I was in my last year of primary, so he probably at year 9.
Oh, okay.
Year 9 or 10.
Oh, okay.
And
just on that, I mean, look, so that might not be your full journey, but maybe some of your friends in terms of some of the problems between the Somali youngsters. Because there was a time a few years back, there was a message that even I got.
Yeah,
it was like, if we see any Somali on the street, they're getting, they're going to get stabbed, this and this.
Yeah, it started, the beef in Camden started from my older brother's age group. Literally. I remember when that was mad, like south of Camden versus like, it was S.M back in the day, QC. And obviously like my older brother just before had a predominant name, when you got 4 boys. My oldest brother was like a DJ at the time. So he was used to DJ in the ends, and it was like grime. So like in my house, we used to have like grime sets on a Friday.
Okay.
So every Friday of the month, my brother would have a grime set in our house, and it was like the hood would come to my house. So I'm talking like, I'm a kid. I might be exaggerating now, but obviously my brother's from smaller than this, and we had about 40, 50 man in my brother's room, like one mic and just spitting because it was grime days. Like, and I was obviously, I'm this little kid, I'm looking around thinking this is mad. Like, man, I got hoods, they got everything, you know what I'm trying to say? I'm exposed to a lot. Maybe I'm missing finer details in what I'm talking because sometimes I don't like to express all the stuff that happens. But yeah, when obviously I grew around that. And
where's mum and dad at this time?
Remember, mum and dad work.
Yeah.
But then when my mum and dad did come home, they were very like, you're not going to tell 40 man get out of your house. And that's how I think I saw it. And my brother would just say, oh, like, I'm just practicing my DJ and stuff. But then I think they was normally, youths are really polite to adults, naturally. Yeah. So they could be the baddest man on road, but they will greet your parent like with respect. It's funny. So I think naturally they never disrespected my parents or the house, and everyone respected it. But
do you think from your perspective, so everybody's family's Muslim, and Somali community Muslim, there could have been kind of like a way of reconciling.
Probably this is what's funny. Like, it's not funny, but now when I'm older, it's crazy because we, the Somalians, like, we used to go to school with them. So naturally, small areas is how it always starts. But I used to always chill with them because I'm Muslim. So like when it was like Christmas carol times or like when our parents would let us stay. So naturally, I used to go like Islamic school on weekends, but I used to go Old Kent Road.
Okay.
Like, I've travelled. Yeah. I used to get the 168 from Camden to the last stop, Old Kent Road, Tesco, and then Sarala was through the alleyway, and it must getting it's getting refurbed now.
Yeah, redeveloped.
Yeah, redeveloped. So I used to go there as a kid. As a big Nigerian community, so my dad used to make me go all the way there as a kid. So it's funny, like, I told these stories, but my life has pockets, and it's like I've travelled a lot. Like, even I forgot, even in the year before, obviously when the police thing happened with my brother, we moved to Burnt Oak, like GP, so like Colindale. So we moved there for a year, Northwest London. So we moved to Northwest for a year just because we needed to. This is why I say when we moved out the area, I think my mum and dad kind of realised that we just need to get out. So they moved us away to Burnt Oak for a year. And then that's when the house in Hackney came available and it was closer. Because obviously, remember, I was there. Now I'm fully travelling from Colindale to Gospel Oak to go to school. To go to William Ellis.
Is your secondary school now?
So I went, so then I'm still in primary school last year. So it was abrupt. It was like, I was living in Camden to coming home one day and my mum said, we're moving. And I was like, what do you mean we're moving? We're moving. Like, huh? It was like that, and then we went to Burnt Oak. He was probably there for about 8-9 months.
So how was it with the kind of like, your older siblings and the Somali youngsters? Was there, how do you say, ways of reconciliation because Muslim, or that kind of like?
Yeah, 100%. And that's why I say I was always fine. We was always fine. My family was always fine because we was Muslim. So we would reconcile, but remember, now you're dealing with Somali versus Congolese. There's no Somalian versus Angolan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? They even clash when it comes to religions. There was no, I'm gonna reconcile. It was just kind of like, well, if I catch you with your friends, then it is what it is. But if I see you on your own, I'm gonna leave you. And that's kind of, I think that was the unlettered law of what it was at the time. And I kind of got the sense of that.
Yourself, your take on that, just kind of like side point of reflection. So, okay, you got, people of the same religion, Muslim, fine. You got a sense of love, unity, we can reconcile, it's a bit easier. Do you think what was happening there, because one side is Muslim, all, within the Somali community, the other side, and some said even in the other side there were few Muslims, who are from Congo and so on. Yeah. But let's say they're all non-Muslims. Does it have to be like this with youngsters? Does it have to be where it's kind of like aggression and violence? Or, there's ways of even reconciling there?
There's always ways of reconciling. I always say that. I always say you can stop something before it goes too far. So now I can't control once it goes far. Like once death takes place, it becomes a whole different ballgame. So like, this is what I realized with the Somalian community very early. I remember my brother sitting me down and saying, listen, the beef's gone left now. Someone's died. But in Somalian community, that's his cousin. Do you know what I'm trying to say? They're like bonded by family. It's not even just like friends anymore. Whereas in our side, or the blacks and Angolans and Africans, it was more like the whites was like, that's just your boy from the estate. Yeah. Where they're kind of like fighting for like, they were called TMS and they were called true Muslim soldiers.
That's what they stands for.
Yeah, TMS. And then the where I was from would like take the mick and call them too many Somalians. You know what I'm trying to say? So like they was called true Muslim soldiers. That was their thing. But as I was saying, as a kid, I was exposed to Islam in my house. Like my dad would wake us up from, my dad's like run that house like military. He made our house, like I'm coming from discipline. Like I'm talking, I've been waking up for Fajr since I was like 7. Do you know what I'm saying? And not going back to sleep. So like, I was waking up 5. If it was 3, I was up at 3. Do you know what I'm saying? My dad, Saturday mornings, it was your house chores. You're doing chores for like 2 or 3 hours. Because my dad grew up in Nigeria. He was always in the masjid. He used to be a student. So he used to have to sweep the masjid with a broom. He's telling me, and you think you're going to, it's Saturday, I'm going to see you sleeping till 10 o'clock. He'd be like, oh yeah. He'd be like, oh yeah, I can't be like, and that was like, so my household was like strict. So on your question, it's hard for me to say that because when I was younger, I wouldn't say I was connected to, like, I would say to a point, I would even want to be known as Caribbean when I was a kid. Like, I'd be like, yeah, man's Jamaican, or like, yeah, man's half Bayesian, or, do you know what I'm saying? Even like little things like Ramadan was going on, it was just me. It was like, I'm in my house, my family saying what fasting and that. I'm coming to school, the only guys fasting is like the Asian boys in my school, but some of them weren't cool and that, so I'm not chilling with them. I'm trying to chill with the cool people, do you know what I'm saying? And that was how I was as a kid. I'm just honest, like, as a kid, I was a cool kid. Like, I can't be chilling with these lot. Like, these lot, my boys are gonna write me off. Like, so I used to like be like, hey, come on, man, we're eating. That. Why are you not eating for, bro? Like, come on, man. What, you broke? Like, come out, eat. Don't worry. That was the type of thing. So I used to have to hide it, like, sometimes. But that's why I said I grew into my Islam, and that changed in secondary school.
Okay.
So secondary school, I had a choice to make. So we've moved to Hackney and I'm in year 7. I'm about to start year 7. My parents have sat me down and said, all right, so do you want to continue to go to school in Camden? Because all my brothers went to school called William Ellis. They all went to the same school.
In Camden, yeah.
In Camden. It's on Highgate Hill. It's opposite like 2 girls' school, 1 Catholic school, 1 mixed school and another school. And it's connected as a college called the Swap. So my mum and dad said to me, what do you want to do? Or I could have gone Hackney Free. Hackney Free at the time was like, I'm from London Fields in Hackney. So this is what I'm saying. I've gone from feeling I was like a little bad boy in Camden. I moved to Hackney and I was like, yo, I'm not on it. Because I was like, yo, this is a madness. I'm live, like I'm coming home from a train station and the gang war in Hackney, like when I was like, in secondary school, was fire. Like it wasn't a joke. It was like, you can compare it to like what South London was when it was like Brixton and Peckham. It was not a joke. Like every single day was a risk. Because I remember I used to come from Hackney Central Station and the buses used to come down this high road and like you would go through about 3 gangs. Hackney's like a really tiny borough, but you would go through 3 gangs in 5, 6 bus stops. And it was just long. Like every day, just relentless. So that's when I started to like, and it was long traveling to Camden. So imagine my friends are telling me, come chill. And I'm like, listen, this is long. But one of the best things that's ever happened to me in my life was actually moving to Hackney. My parents moving me there was the best thing that's ever happened to me. So like,
from what angle?
So my best friends all growing up. If you ask me where they are now, my best friend Henny, he was my birthday twin. He's in prison right now, still in prison. He's been in and out of prison for food. Nat is the same, been in and out of prison for food. My right hand man, like the reason that the boy that I like, even he was the only one to come to Hackney to see me. Like my best friend, he's died, but he's died part of this beef between the Somalians and the lot. He died maybe 4 years now, 3 years ago. So when you realize, like I always say now, like you see when people say my day ones, I ain't got no day ones, because all my day ones are either they're gone doing stuff I can't do, or they died. And like, so when I realized that, now, sometimes I sit there and I think, like I just sit there and I think, boy, ya Allah, did you write this? Like, did you mold this? Because there's certain points in life where you think like, how did I end up here and they ended up there and we was no different? Like we was no different. Even on the times where like we was at the same places, I might leave 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, this guy just got stabbed. This guy got shot. They did this to this person and that. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And I missed it, and it was consistent. I always missed it. When I moved to Hackney, My mum and dad were strict. Remember, I'm telling you, I'm still doing all this madness. But mum and dad, like, what? You're in Hackney. You want to go out? Make sure you're home at 9 o'clock. 9.
That's when it starts.
Summer. It's 9 o'clock. Mum, it's not even dark. 9 o'clock. Then you're trying to freestyle, mum, please. Okay, you're going from Camden, meaning you got to leave at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, that's when it's getting light. You know, as a kid, it's getting really good. 8 o'clock. And you're having to leave. So I was always missing out just before things was getting there. So
But Allah's hikmah now. That's it.
Exactly.
Allah's wisdom in it.
And 100%.
Saving you from certain things. We had this, was it Prince Wasim? Prince Wasim was also Nigerian. And, his father took him to the Al-Ulum. He didn't even know that he's going to go then stay in a boarding school. But he memorized the Quran there. Initially, he saw it as a negative. Later on, realized, okay, it kept me away from certain things. And I memorized the book of Allah Ta'ala and so on. So I think sometimes even in the strictness, there is a blessing and a benefit that we understand sometimes later on in life. Yeah.
And then, that's kind of how it went. And then,
So you ended up going to Camden school then, rather?
Yeah. So what I realized quickly was that I wasn't allowed from where I'm from to go to another. So the only schools from being from London Fields I could really go to was like Hackney Free or go to a school in Islington. So most people in Hackney will tell you they don't go to school in Hackney. That's flames. After school, it's long. Like you just don't go unless you can see your house from your school. You're not going there because it was just long. Because after school, you're gonna see 10 man from the rival gang outside your school on pedal bikes, and you can't be that way. And that's every day. You know what I'm trying to say? As a kid, it's relentless. People forget this. My hardest. When people ask me what hardest stage of my life, teenage years. Them years are treacherous. That's when you realize you ain't got enough. You realize you're from a cancer estate and your parents don't have enough money for the things that you're exposed to on TV, and you have the peer pressure of parties, girls.
Do you think parents lack in understanding or awareness in what those teen? Because remember, okay, they haven't been to secondary school here. Maybe they finished their school abroad or something, or in Nigeria, so they don't really understand the problems of those teen years, especially outside school, when you've got to kind of like walk back home or catch 2 buses.
Yeah,
and
my mum and dad are oblivious to it even now. If my mum and dad watch this, they'll be like, huh?
Is this what you went through?
Yeah. Since when? You never said any. That's how my parents' reaction would be. Like legit. So they weren't aware of it because like even now, like it's mad. So like my dad we get like a mobile. You remember it used to be the scratch card. My dad it'll be, listen, I'll be at home. It's 8:30, turning dark, summer, London Fields. If you know about London Fields, like that park in the summertime back in the day, I'm talking 50 man, like 50 guys just in the park with girls, and they had like Waka Flocka came to my block where I'm from in Hackney to make a video back in that. And that's, you remember, this is a big American artist, like at the prime. Like my block was mad. My dad would say, Taofiq, I need like a mobile. I'd be like, Dad, what? Do you know what's up? And I used to live on front line, like my house is on the front line, like legit on the front line. Like none of my friends from Hackney now will come to my house, even now. Because I got friends from outside of Rotherham, but they won't come to my house. My house is flames. Like it's just
hotspot, basically.
Hotspot because it was like it's a cut through to the A12. Everyone will come, like every cars are down my road. It's just mad. So I remember, like as a kid, I used to get like I would get anxious. I can say it now because I'm alright with it, but I'll get mad anxious. But I was a bit my mental. Like my brothers would tell me, like, just listen, you're not a bad man. You don't think you're a bad man on the streets. Just give your phone up. So I said, listen, big man, I'd rather, man, take it off me than ever me hand it over. It's just not going to happen. So my dad used to send me shop and I would have to like cut through like 30 intimidating guys. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, and probably to them, they're just oblivious to me. But in my mind, I'm thinking if one person says one thing to me, I'm finished. All you have to do is look like someone as a kid. That's the problem nowadays. All you have to look familiar. And that was what was scary. I didn't want to look like anybody. Sometimes I even I used to get Mohicans. So you know what I'm saying? Get that haircut that just stands out, look different. So you can't say that's, what are you? Nah, not me, bro. That's because, but that was I only adopted that when I started to realize that these guys were serious. That I used to see, obviously I'm there every day, it's my house. I used to see them rob people. I used to see there was shootings, everything was going on in front of me. And I said, I got a life. I don't really like this stuff. I said I prefer girls on football. That stuff relies on age. I was like, I'd rather that than be a bad man.
Gangs.
I went on that. So as I got older, this is what I'm saying, I became more isolated.
Okay.
Naturally, I stopped going to Camden all the time, and I started seeing Hackney. But remember, I don't know no one here. I don't go to school here. So it's just me. Do you know what I'm saying? It was a weird time. And then I just said, you know what, I want to be a footballer now.
What age was that now? What age was that?
13, 14.
14, okay.
I said, you know what, I'm going to take this football thing serious. I was always gifted. So like in primary school, I was like captain of my borough. So like I was playing for my borough, like captain of my borough. I was always like selected as like star kids. I used to play against Arsenal to try and get scouted. Like in my Sunday team, like 2-3 boys got signed to Premier League clubs at the time. So like I was from like my team, I was always like the best in my area. And in year 7, I played for Camden and Islington together. Same again, I was always selected, always played for my borough. Like that's like a big thing there. Like you're part of like the best 20, 16 boys in your area. So then I think I got to about year 8 and 9. I said, nah, I need to get to an academy. I haven't played for an academy. Like, what's going on? Like, you guys play for Millwall, Leighton Orient, Arsenal, Tottenham. Why am I not nowhere? Do you know what I'm trying to say? And what changed my life, I say, is my school was in Hampstead Heath, so Highgate. So remember, with the hood, so Highgate is it's a very posh area. So you wouldn't experience, but it was like one of this weird schools, like this school where I was going to school with a bunch of bad boys, but then exposed to like wealth that is £20 a day kids' pocket money. I got £2. The kids got £20 re-up every day. Like the teachers used to give us letters at the end of school, yeah, and they'll be like, oh yeah, we're going on a skiing trip to south of France. And I used to look at the price and I used to say, I said, miss, are you all right? I said, who in here's got that type of money? You lot are boy like that. Not knowing that they would take a trip of 20 kids, like, do you know what I'm saying, to the south of France. They used to do Mandarin Club at lunchtime. Like, so my school was like, it was
the secondary
school, very good school. And then I realized, I was like, I got to maybe year 10, 11 when I started to really these are rich. Like they was coming to school in Balenciagas. I'm Dunlop. You know what I'm saying? Kickers, they got Balenciagas on. So what my point is that I was exposed to a different life, and Alistair Campbell's son. So Alistair Campbell was Tony Blair's right hand.
Yeah,
Alistair Campbell, advisor. His sons went to my school.
Okay.
But they're my older brothers, yeah. So when he finished his schooling, this guy, one of the smartest minds I've ever met, Rory Campbell, he's got like 10 A stars in GCSE. It was mad. Like he's the genius. He's like one of the top.
It must have been Taofiq, like a selective school where you've got to pass entrance test to get you.
It wasn't even that. Okay. It was just where it was based. Because you know schools nowadays that have you have to be in the area of the school to go there.
What's the
catchment area?
Okay.
So just it was in the middle of the hood and the posh.
Okay.
So I think kids that went private school at primary school, their parents didn't want them to be like stuck up primary school kids, so they sent them to my school. And then in my area, this was like, if you can get to William Ellis, it was either William Ellis or Haverstock. I don't know if you've ever heard of Haverstock. It's like a very known school. Like I think I don't know. Yeah, it's a very known school in the area. I was like, my mum used to say I wouldn't even send my dog to Haverstock. My mum, she would never even have a dog. So that's how much she valued Haverstock. Yeah. My mum said, I will never have a pet, but if I even had a dog, my dog wouldn't go there. That's how my mum valued that other school.
Wow.
So she pushed everything for us to go there. So that's why all 4 of us was able to go to the same school. Okay. Once you get one sibling in.
Oh, yes.
So that is what saved all of us, as in like, we got that balance. We got exposed to things. I think as a kid, what the best thing parents can do, this is from I'm just talking if I could do it, is expose your child to as much good as possible. Because that way he's exposed to things and learns. When you're from the hood, I don't know if anyone that meets you, you talk to brothers from the hood, they'll tell you, when I got exposed to Islam, it's like, if now, like, I try and expose young Black African Nigerian Muslims to Islam and being yourself openly, that's my main thing now, to show them that you can be that way. You won't know to be something unless you've seen it. Mm-hmm. Like, I wouldn't even know how you became an imam. Mm-hmm. You would have to tell me that. I still to this day wouldn't even know how you became that way. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Whereas if someone was actually showing you, this is how you can do it.
Steps.
Exactly. So I don't know if you know Mr. Briggs.
Yeah.
So me and Mr. Briggs went to school together. So he was my older brother's younger in school. Obviously, he reverted when we was in school. So this is what I'm saying. So me and Briggs went to school together. So like,
He's a revert, yeah?
yeah, mashallah. So when Briggs, I'm not going to call his government name when I met him as a kid, but when Briggs was younger, like he was like, we was very close because obviously he was my older brother's younger in school. So even like, that's what I'm saying. We was exposed to both sides of life. But in school, me and Briggs used to sell food. Briggs would sell cookies. I would sell something called a pound munch. So in school, I used to have to sell.
For food or for something else.
Yeah, no, not like that. Not like that.
Drug qualified.
Not drug stuff. He actually used to sell food. Like, so I'm saying, discipline, man. Hey, my mum and dad, they smelled that weed. We'd be facing the wall for 10 hours until someone spoke. This is what I'm saying. So when it comes to like that side of it, I was very, very patterned. My mum and dad wouldn't allow me to do any of that. That wasn't happening in this household. But we would then became very, very calculated and smart as brothers. We helped each other out a lot. Like if this was happening, or this happened, and that's what I'm saying. It was very like.
How did you do in your like GCSEs and A levels?
So this is funny though, because this is why I say sometimes I'm a waste man. As in when it came to the school, I was that kid that used to say to my teacher. Like, I used to be like, so wait, you're telling me I got to pass this exam to get a certificate that says I'm of this level, when I can not take this exam, know all the information, maybe not be good at it, and we still know the same thing. So I used to say, that doesn't make sense to me. Why do I need that then? And then I said, I just want to be a footballer anyway. So I missed a chunk of it, but I did get signed in the end. I was at Millwall for a while. Then I went Leighton Orient, then I went Dagenham.
Didn't you finish your GCSEs? Or
No, I did. I took them, but I didn't take them seriously at all.
Passed.
I was that kid. Yeah, I passed, alhamdulillah. Okay. I was that kid. I'd turn up. It would be like, what are we doing today? Science? All right, say no more. We're doing science today. And that was me, but my mum and dad wouldn't know that. But when my mum and dad saw my GCSE results, they could have sent me to Nigeria. There and then, on the spot. Live, they could have sent me to Nigeria, how angry my parents were. Because remember, all my brothers got like A's and B's, and I think I had C's, maybe a B, a D, maybe. I think I even German. I wasn't serious. I wasn't serious candidate at all. But all I said is I wanted to be a footballer. I had one drive. It was being a footballer.
Okay.
That was it. And at that time, I started to go Juma in school. There's another thing. There was a TA that came to my school, and he was like a young Muslim brother. And he's like, "What? There's so many Asians in the school, Muslims, Somalians. Like, why none of you pray Juma?" I said, "No one gives us Juma in the school, bro. What do you mean, bro? Juma, what's Juma, bro?" So then I used to, he then started Juma, did a khutbah, got all the kids that used to have to beg and steal for a classroom. Like the school wouldn't even give him a classroom. So then I remember he came to me one day in the corridor. He's like, "When are you going to come Juma, man?" I was like, "Oh, yeah." I used to like run away from him all the time. I think it was after like the third, fourth time, and I said to him, "No problem, I'm going to come, man. I'll see what it's about." I said, "Well, where am I going to do my wudu?" He said, "Let's do it in the toilet." I said, "Huh? Toilet?" I said, "It's impossible." I remember by this point, I'm in year 10, so I'm popular. Like, my social status is high. I can't get caught lacking with my foot in the sink. It's not happening. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Even them times there, I'll even try to do my wudu with my sock on quick 1 second because no one to see it. And my biggest fear happening, I got caught by one of my boys putting my foot in the sink. And I remember opening the door and he just went, "Ah!" And he laughed at me. And even to this day, I can picture it. And it made me feel so embarrassed, yeah. But then what I do is that I said, "You know what, and what? Yeah, I'm washing my foot in the sink, but your foot's dirty. My foot's clean." And it kind of went, "Oh." And then after that, I was like, was I that scared of? I weren't praying Salah because I didn't want to put my foot in the sink. Do you know what I mean? Because of embarrassment.
That's the peer pressure side of it.
As a kid, and I think that I was very skeptical. I was very, what's the word I'm looking for? I was very easily peer pressured, even though I was very popular. I did everything, like, for example, even like getting a slew as a kid, I did everything for violation. So, for example, me and you could be very good friends. You could, this is an incident that happened. We was on a bus. I remember this is when I was with my Hackney friends, we were on a bus. We're going somewhere, but we're with it's probably about 10 of us. There's probably about 8 girls. And my friend was eating and he dropped ketchup on the floor. and it went onto my white Air Forces. And I didn't even notice it, and he just dropped me laughing. And someone was like, oh, you know when you hear that, it's game over. I was like, what? Your trainers. And then I was like, nah. I went to my boy, wipe it off. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I put on my foot, wipe it off. He's like, no, rightly so. Like, what do you mean, wipe it off? And then I was like, wipe it off. He didn't wipe it off, and then I remember I either hit him or punched him, because obviously I've said it about 4 times now and he's not done it. And I was like, I'm in an awkward situation. I'm going to look like a waste man if I sit down. And I used to do stuff like that. I felt so bad after I did it. I banged him, I popped his lip, and we never spoke. Even to this day, our relationship is still shaky because of that incident. Like, we're cool, we just don't talk about it. But just because I was not comfortable just being like, it's okay, because of the people you're around and the environment you're in.
And I think important, you know, like even for youngsters, especially at that age, you might be year 10, 11. So you're kind of like, you know, you're getting into kind of like adulthood. 15, 16, 17. So the education from an angle of tarbiyah, cultivation, where there's an angle of humility taught. Okay, that's what it's, you know, and that would happen in raves with non-Muslims. You stepped on my shoe, and I said a guy wants to fight him or stab him or something. You know, Prophet Muhammad is in the seerah, peace be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he's entering into Mecca, and he's got 10,000 Sahaba behind him. Yeah, so he's coming to battle, and it's the same place in Mecca that threw him out. He had to make his hijrah and migration and took his property and the property of the Sahaba, companions that were in Mecca. But the narration says he's entering into Mecca on his riding animal with 10,000 Sahaba. He lowers his chin until his chin is touching the riding animal. It says in Arabic, tawadu'an lillah, out of humility to Allah. Yeah, in one narration, you know, he said, whenever someone humbles himself for the sake of Allah, Allah raises that person's status. So that I'm saying in terms of, you know, for youngsters, you know, for youngsters, especially Muslim youngsters, these are material things, dunya things, shoes, trainers, Air Force, don't mean nothing. And even when, you know, let's say your friends are non-Muslim, and you to kind of like approach him and say, look, you know, to me it's a minor because I'm a Muslim, these are worldly things. That would also act like a, you know, for him to reflect on dawah. So I think we don't do that enough for youngsters.
Now what we do is, and even through movies, is you push their ego.
100%.
The ego is so high, it's like, how dare you do that? And you've built such a persona about yourself and many of us
Ego,
that for that to happen to me now, I'm gonna go down in status. I can't let that happen. So then you do something you're internally, you know it's wrong, but you do it in the moment, and then the rest is history. There's many people in prison. I remember I said one brother, I think he's still in prison now, to be fair, for murder. And I think it was a rave or something like that, and someone stepped on his white Air Forces and he stabbed the person up, dead. You can't get that moment back. That was a moment of your little madness for £60 trainers that someone stepped on and left a little mark that you could have got some baby wipes and wiped off. But because of your ego and your status maybe between the people locally, you done a murder that led you to how many years in prison for what? And the stories are all like that in prison. If you meet most guys in prison that are in for murder, you find out what you're in for is, I'm talking like the most stupidest thing, with all due respect, stupid, that you're in prison for. Do you know what I'm trying to say to you? And it's all based on that, what you just said. It's just your ego is so high, you can't humble yourself enough to forgive the person, overlook the situation, and just walk away. But you have to get your own back, and now you're riding many years in prison.
Was you who sent me that? It was I think a clip, American clip, where the guy speaks about 5 minutes.
5 seconds.
5 seconds. What was it?
5 seconds, yeah. I think he said 5 to 30 seconds of a decision you make leads you to doing the rest of your life in prison. That's how long that takes. For you to take out your knife and stab, take out a gun and shoot, these are seconds. It's not like a conspiracy where you plan out how you're going to do the murder. But when you leave out with a gun, when you leave out with a knife, that is what you're intending. You might not think you're going to kill someone that day, but it comes with the atmosphere. You understand? So all it takes is for someone to say the wrong thing. You've got a knife on you, you got a gun on you. Hold that. You understand? And now the rest of your life is in prison, and this other person is dead as well. And vice versa. Sometimes you hear someone that was coming out with a knife and a gun, thinking he's Superman, and he gets killed.
Yeah.
You understand? There's many stories like that. So the lesson that you learn even from yours and many of our historical kind of people that are in prison is that sometimes just learn to walk away.
Yeah.
I think, and I even think my story, I feel like I'm the boy, my childhood, I'm the boy that has 99% of boys in the area I'm from, or like in the hoods nowadays, where you're not bad, you're not moist, you're just trying to find your way. And a lot of guys do this whole, like you just said, the ego, and then they start becoming known for being a bad man.
Yeah.
So they live up.
Persona.
There is a couple bad youths. There are some bad youths out there, like guys, they maybe just need some guidance. Actually just bad. Do you know what I mean? There is the odd, but they're more
minute.
They're minute. There's more guys who are like me who can be, for example, I had enough friends to be, I'm that guy. And I had enough friends to say, it ain't worth it. And that's what, if you want me to talk to the kids about it, that's why now I use everything to say that, alhamdulillah, football took me away from the hood and it showed me a way of life that I never imagined before. The countries I traveled to and the things I've done just by playing football. But sometimes I like to give context to my upbringing because people get it confused now. The way I am now, people get it confused because they forget that, yo, this is, I'm some hood youth from the ends, innit? Penzas Estate, like council. But I carry myself differently. I still have my tendencies, but what I was exposed to as a kid was crazy. Like some of the things I've actually seen, like are mad. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like really mad. Like traumatizing mad that you don't even want to see that or tell people to see that. It's like I say, my best friend, I missed this part out when I was a kid. My best friend, we used to go to his house, the one that passed away. His older brother was a trapper. He used to like trap hard and everything. We used to bag up for his brother without even knowing. And we used to hit shots for his older brother while we was playing PlayStation. He'll say, all right, cool, take this, go downstairs, my man's downstairs, you got money. And it used to just be a thing. We used to go up and down the block just for his older brother while playing PlayStation. At the end of the day, he'll give us like £20 and a couple Ralph Lauren tops that his mum would import from France to Congo to sell to her friends. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? But these are things that even me, I'll even forget. But they were part of my... So when I talk about like, yeah, man was really in the hood. Man was around that. And every single one of them, my brother will tell you the same. Life in jail, they have a trapping, they're in and out of prison, they call them jail cats. They be in and out. Like Camden's one of them areas. It's scummy. Like not many people from Camden make it out. And I know, and it's mad. Like you got a rapper now and maybe odd rapper that are making it out, but like, in them areas, it's kind of like them areas where no one does anything with their lives. I could go to Camden now, and not in a rude way, and I could see every single person I went to school with in the same area, either working in the same places. No one's progressed. Everyone's just stayed the same level, and everyone could tell you 100 stories about each other. And that's why I say if inshallah there's kids watching this that are in predicaments where they're thinking, oh, like, do I want to be a bad man or do I want to be this? Listen, man, wallahi, bro, if I could go back here and I could unsee bare things and just be on Dean, I would do it in a heart, in the click of a finger. And I don't even like glorifying all the story of my things. I don't like talking about my sins. And that's always been in my mind. So that's what I say from the age of about 15, 16. And that's why I got so much stories, but it's like, it's kind of like we're going off topic, all this hair everywhere. But that teacher that took me to that Jummah and me starting to go Jummah changed my life.
MashaAllah.
Like Islamically.
Okay.
Changed my life.
Prior to that, were you praying or anything? Nothing, yeah?
I'll pray when my dad would make us pray.
But you knew the salah?
I knew how to pray salah. I knew...
How to read the Quran?
Not really. When I used to go Quran lessons, my teacher used to beat us. We used to go Nigerian one, he used to beat us. One day I stood up and
don't say the masjid's name.
Yeah. One day he beat me. One day I stood up and I said, I can't lie. If you beat me one more time, I will fighting and I'm gonna tell my dad. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And then I never went back. I used to like cry, say to my dad, I'm never going. I used to say like, you want me to go to this guy? He's not beating me because I'm bad. This guy's just evil. I used to say to my dad, he's just evil. He had a bad day at work. I don't know what's wrong with him. Stuff for love.
So you didn't even make no mistakes?
No mistakes. Just bah. Just, do you know what I'm saying?
Don't look at me.
Yeah, so I used to say to my dad, and sometimes I look back at it. I used to look back at it before I started learning Quran as a kid, as an adult, and I used to say, I wish I knew more. Like, it's funny. One of my close friends, he moved to Dubai recently, and he said to me, I asked him when he started learning Tajweed and Quran, and he said, you know why? I used to be on the football pitch. He said, I really want to win this match. He'd be like, I really want to win this match. And he said, the only surah I know was Kuhu Allah Ahad. He said, how am I asking Allah? I need this. I'm trying to think, what can I say to Allah? And all I know is Kuhu Allah Ahad. He said, nah, I'm a waste man. So then he made him want to learn. And I remember when he told me that story, I started crying of laughter, thinking, yo, yeah, that's crazy, innit? And for a long time, that was the only, I only knew 2-3 surahs of the Quran until probably 19, and then 18, and then I started to say, yo, what are you doing? And then I think that, anyway, the teacher, so that's what I'm saying, the first time so I was able to pray and whatnot, but from 16, I was praying my salahs.
5 times a day.
5 times a day. Wallahi, alhamdulillah, probably my biggest achievement in life. I don't miss salah.
MashaAllah.
But even, I wouldn't say that's taking me, even if I wouldn't say I've missed part. I would go out, I'll be with my friends, I'll be looking at my, yo, you man, I can't even come out till 9:45 when after Isha, pray Isha, and then I'll go out, astaghfirullah. Hey, yo, man, I need to go home. I'm tired, because Fajr's gonna end soon, do you know what I'm saying? And it was always like that. And I used to say I say to my brother, I'm a bit tapped, because as a kid, that was just my priority. It was, I don't matter if I'm doing stuff I used to think because people go the opposite way. They're out with their friends, or they get caught up in teenage life or young adult life, and
they say, what's the point
of doing that? Because I'm doing this. And I never thought like that. I used to think, you know what, I'm doing the madness, so I'm going to ask for forgiveness, and just one day, please take me away from this, because my situation is too hard for me to get away from this. I ain't got it in me. That's what I used to say.
Also, the word, the salah linguistically means connection, sila. That's your connection with Allah. And like you're saying, you're doing it with the intention of, look, I've got a connection with my Lord, Allah Almighty, and hopefully one day, some of the shortcomings I might have, this prayer and salah is going to help me. That's a better way of thinking, rather than, I'm doing this, why should I pray? I'll pray, inshallah, and ask Allah for forgiveness.
Don't be that guy.
It's better to be positive.
They're saying that in terms of, football, that's been your passion from a young age. Alhamdulillah, deen-wise, 16, you started praying. That's a positive. Alhamdulillah, you started learning aspects of the deen and so on. So now, you mentioned briefly about Millwall and stuff. What exactly happened? What team did you play for?
So,
who encouraged you? Who pushed you? Who supported you? And so on?
So that Rory Campbell, Alistair Campbell's son, coming into my school, he took me to the trial to Millwall.
Oh, he did, yeah? He's a baller as well?
No, he came in and was doing these coaching badges, and he wanted to coach the school football team.
Oh, he wasn't a student?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
He finished school. He was my older brother's age. He came back and wanted to do his badges, and he said, I want to coach the school football teams. And this is what I mean. I was in that age where I was in the limbo. I stopped playing for the school team in year 9. I said, this is dead. All my friends are doing this. And he came in, and then one of my football guys, he just loved football. There's a kid, his name was Abdul, mashallah, a good brother from Sierra Leone. He used to love football. He said, Taofiq, man, you're the best, and you have to come, beg me to come. We got this new coach. And Rory, you know how he got me to go? So every end of term, he would play a massive tournament, yeah? And the winning team, every player will get £20. And the star player will get £50. In my mind, I just made £70 before I'm about to go on holiday. You know what I'm saying? For a week. Because I'm going to be the star player. So anyway, alhamdulillah, he took me on my first trial. He said, he used to see me and say, yo, you're talented.
Okay.
I need to take you somewhere. I've got some connections. And this is what I've learned in life. Life is all about who you know and connections. And he took me to Millwall. And he took me the first day, and I used to go on my own. So this is what I'm saying. I used to do a lot of stuff independently. I'm traveling from Camden to South Eltham. I'm traveling to Eltham as a kid, public transport. That's a long way. Then from Eltham, I'm traveling to Hackney. So I used to do that. And then it got to a point where I was on trial for Mill for about 10 weeks, 12 weeks, for a long time. And then I'm on trial still. I'm scoring from centre-back. I'm still on trial. They're just having me for a ride. Why have my contract been signed? And I just remember saying to the manager, it's too far. And I didn't go. Then I went Leighton Orient because it was closer to East London and he was interested. And then with Leighton Orient, there was like, I was like there for about 3 weeks and I felt like this is going like, I'm not doing this no more. Then I went to Dagenham. And then Dagenham, on the first day I went in there, they said, whoa, who's this? But yeah, 2-year contract, here you go. They gave me from 14, 2-year contract till 16.
Okay.
But this is my problem. I was always playing well, playing under 15, playing under 16, under 16s, playing with under 17s, 18s, like the youth team, like training with them. I used to miss school 1 day a week. But remember I told you I used to sell food in school. That 1 day a week, bro, you're opening the market up. Because you miss 1 day a week consistently, people are going to start realising you're always not here. Start selling on your day. So when you come back the next day, you got competition now. You're starting to have to ruffle up people like, what are you doing? Like, and now you've got the markets open. And this is how I used to think, I need this money. Remember, my parents ain't got money to give me stuff. If I want to enjoy my holidays, I need money. And I weren't trying to be a drug dealer or a trapper. It was against my religion, it was against my deen, and I was very aware of that. But this was my legitimate way to make my money. So anyway, long story short, I stopped going day release. So the day I would be allowed to go to football,
which was in Dagenham.
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to just go to school and tell them I was focusing on my GCSEs. But I wasn't focusing on my GCSEs. I was focusing on my my money to get able. And it was hindering my football.
When they're paying you though, it's like
I was 14.
Okay. They don't.
You're not in school, boy. You don't get paid.
Okay.
You're not allowed to pay anyone until they're 16, until you get your national insurance. And I know.
Okay.
You're not allowed to get money.
Did you meet Nicky in Millwall?
Nicky who?
Besnick.
No.
He used to be like a coach, mentoring for the academy.
No, never met him.
And there was a brother, Najim, Jimmy Abdu.
Yeah, I met Jimmy Abdu when I got older playing football, but I never met him when I was a kid.
His local was he used to come for Jummah here. He came in Ramadan. He came in Ramadan.
Inshallah. So I went to I went Dagenham, and then I just as a kid I was heavily influenced. On the Friday we used to train. I remember, and it used to be in Romford, and I used to think Friday after school was like that day, like it was just lit. Like all my friends from all the schools, we would link up and go Camden High Street and stuff like that. So it was very frustrating for me. So then Dagenham released me.
What age were you then?
16.
Okay.
They said to me, the youth team manager said, well, you don't come day release. I don't even know if you're committed enough that you want to be a footballer. And there's some qualities of your game you need to improve. But this is bearing in mind after, like, they've not begged me, but they've told me, all right, we've released this guy in your position. You're the only one left, but you have to show us some commitment. They done that from like Christmas time. And then from Christmas to the end of the season, which is another 6 months, they said, just show us your commitment, turn up to day release, work hard. You've got the ability, we'll work with you. And I just ignored it and said, oh, well, this is 6 months before GCSEs. I've got to work even harder in school. Now it doesn't make sense for me to come day release. But I wasn't working hard in school.
Was there that mistake on your part, the day release? Because from their perspective as a team, they're probably thinking this guy's not serious.
Yeah, 100%.
We're offering him something, but you know what? He's talking about day release and GCSEs and stuff. Do you think that was kind of like in hindsight, a mistake on your part?
Yeah, 100%. But this is another thing. In my family, I'm the first one to ever do this football thing. Like, seriously. My brothers, mashallah, like my older brothers are massive influences in me as well also. Because my second oldest brother, mashallah, he's my inspiration. Like, if my brothers will tell you that I want to be like him. He got married when he was 22, 21. I got married when I was 21, 22. I got divorced, but like my intention was that
you're gonna follow his footsteps.
His footsteps, and I said I didn't want to sin. So when I got to a certain age, I said, "Yo, girls are becoming a big problem for me, like a big problem." I saying to myself, like, "Yo, I'm trying to take this deen seriously. I'm asking Allah, I need your help, like guidance, because I signed to a Premier League club. Fast forward, I signed for Burnley, and I moved to Manchester. So I'm living out of. First time I'm proper living out of my area. I'm living in Manchester. I'm living in Burnley, and I'm living with one of my teammates. He's Congolese. Like, I've always been connected with Congolese guys. I don't know why. This Congolese boy, and it's just me and him in this house. And I just remember like the stuff like, and I'm just thinking to myself like, Ya Allah, I need help. Like, guide me. And that's how and that was when I met like my ex-wife, like, who right now, she was like the person who helped me become a man, because she reverted to Islam. She wasn't born Muslim. So it was weird. She was with me, and then she obviously saw I was trying with Islam. So like, for example, like, in haram relationship, astaghfirullah. But I used to never want to miss salah. So I used to always want to pray. Like, and she'll see me pray and stuff like, and like give that, she'll be asked questions like, I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable, but and that's how it started. And that's what I'm saying. When people ask me how did I get that, I would say it's probably from my older brothers. Because I would be with them and I would look at them for guidance, like, yo, T, man, I'm struggling for this. And he'd be like, yo, yeah, you making me laugh because I remember that was me, man. He's like, I'm gonna make dua for you, but bro, like the girls things like, unless she's Muslim, you want a Muslim. Like, you used to want to be on to me. Yeah. So I remember it got to the point where I broke it off with my ex-wife and I said, listen, like, I remember just saying like, I want to focus on my religion and obviously I want a Muslim wife. And obviously I was giving a dawah small at the time, like trying to like show her about Islam because her name was actually an Islamic name. Her name was Aliyah. So it was like and I used to always say to her like, I used to say to her like, you carry yourself like as a Muslim. Like she didn't drink, didn't smoke, believed in God, but didn't have a real religion. She wasn't Christian. She never went to church or anything at the time. But her characteristics were as a Muslim. Mm-hmm. She was very well grounded. She was very well, like everything about her was amazing. Mm-hmm. I used to say to her like, but why didn't you, what about Islam? I've never really known much about it. Like the girls I used to see in school, because she used to go to school with some Somalians from Southeast, she said, well, they didn't give me a good example. Like, they didn't used to like me or like they used to argue with me and she never used to like Islam because of just an experience she had with some sisters back in the day from wherever it was. And
Did your family, like mum and dad and older brothers, siblings kind of like support you in your football kind of like, because you mentioned, okay, the day release, so you have to come back to make some money. Or could it be where, look, if there's a bit more support for you and they were giving you some pocket money or something, you would have carried on in Dagenham or?
Yeah, 100%. So if I go back to Dagenham...
Because they probably did not value,
No one did, and only until my brothers and my dad used to take me to games. So like we'll play Arsenal at Hale End. My brother would be like, yo, what's this? Yeah, what, next week, where do you want to go? You need a lift, are you playing? You know what I'm saying? Then my brother took a massive interest in me. But I made a big mistake as a kid, as a young kid. I said, I remember one time my brother used to like take me to matches. He used to take me to Dagenham, take me here, take me there. And then one day, like, he was, after a game, they're chopping off your ear saying you could have done this, you could have done that. And I remember I was in the kitchen and I just said, bro, you're not my dad, man. You don't even do anything for me. I remember just like, I went off on him. Even to the day, I remember like, when I signed my pro and just after I signed my pro, like, I remember like, I think I cried to him and I apologized, didn't it? Because I said like, what you did for me at that time was I can't even imagine what that would have felt like. And I know it hurt him so much.
Is that the second one that you like?
The oldest, because I said something like, Toyib does more for me than you. Do you know what I'm saying? I said it like, the younger one does more. And he's like, yo, are you mad? Yeah, he's like, are you mad? Like, after all the stuff I've done for you. So anyway, subhanAllah, I got released at 16 and then 17, my second oldest brother, he was working in the school as a teacher, a school, Bethnal Green Academy. So I went to Bethnal Green Academy because after 1 year, I did like a scholarship for like a semi-pro team. They was paying us and then it wasn't what I was used to. I was used to like actually professional standards. Dagenham at the time was League 1 or League 2. I was used to professional standards. And this was just like I don't know what this was anymore. So my mum after a year and dad said, what are you doing with your life? Go enroll in college. So I went enrolled in the sixth form. And that's when I was exposed to another level of Islam. So I've went to Bethnal Green Academy. Obviously, we know Bethnal Green is a very Muslim Asian area or Muslim area. Bro, this school's got a mosque, masjid for women and man in the school. We'll do area in the school. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, like if you need to go pray, there's Jummah every Friday. Everyone prays Duha at break and lunch. I'm not thinking, what's all of this? Remember, but this time I'm like 17, 18. So I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Remember, I went to school where I'm scared to put my foot in the sink. You know what I'm saying?
Now you got the sink.
I got the sink in the place. Like, so I'm like, yo, we gone full circle. Alhamdulillah. Like, I was exposed to like just everyone was Muslim. Everything was halal. It was just an easy way of living now.
The one who doesn't put the foot in the sink is looked at as odd.
Yeah. Literally it's the opposite. But you're not praying. So then it was very it was a crazy, I say 8 months because there was a thing called
positive,
amazing. Like as an amazing experience for me because it, like I said, the way I grew up in the school I was in, it exposed me to like dunya stuff, like rich and poor and how you can, this people and these things happen for you. And if you know these people, you can go this way. But then deen-wise, I was just around Muslims. Conversations were different. Everyone's preparing for Ramadan. Eid's a massive thing. Eid in my household, only became something that we celebrated collectively, big as a family, I say 3 years ago, maybe 4 max. We used to always eat on Christmas Day as a family because that was the only time of year everybody's off work. Because my mum and dad never used to take work days off Eid because maybe they had the similar thing as in me. So like I'm very aware of my parents that they've moved here from Nigeria. Possibly they've had the same social problems that I've had. Maybe the embarrassment or hiding their religion, hiding their deen, because they've had to try and fit in with Kate, Sophie, or you know what I mean, at work. And I wasn't, and it's only now as an adult, I'm very non-judgmental on everyone because I'm very aware of like troubles and trials and tribulations, and life can humble you. Like I've not even spoke, I've got so much to talk about as in my life side, let alone my football. So I'll go back to my football so it can make sense. So when I've gone to Bethnal Green Academy, I've applied for this thing called the Nike Academy. So Bethnal Green, if by the time when the kids will tell you, any of your younger siblings or cousins, they'll tell you by the age of 16, 17, if you've never been signed, you give up your football dream. People stop playing football by 15. They're saying, nah, I'm just too old to him. He's just too old. They don't even realize you're so young in this football thing. And I went to this, like, I thought it was my last chance, Nike Academy. And it was like the best unsigned players in the world. And Allahumma barak, I got signed. Even to this day, when I think about how I got to my situation, miracle. Imagine you have to apply on this app. Yeah? You could do it, I could do it. We apply on this app, we put our name in thing and just what clubs we used to play for and press send. And then out of all my friends, I got a response. Turn up to this day for a trial. He didn't get. I thought, I got accepted. Gone to QPR's training ground for this open trial, UK trial. There's boys from Liverpool that's come, Birmingham, everywhere. On that day, they said only 2 of you are going to get through out of 80 boys to go represent the UK in this global final showcase. The 2 boys who got selected, me and my friend. I've got a picture, from the cameraman on that day. And I'm sitting there and I'm making dua because they called my friend first. I just happened to know him because when we was kids, we knew each other. They called him first. Yeah, no, he's mixed race. Yeah, he's still a footballer now. He plays for Charlton Athletic now. So, mashallah, he got called first, and then I'm sitting there, my eyes are closed. Wallahi, I'm praying to Allah. If every single inch of my body, Allah heard me because I'm begging him. I could have cried. I'm begging him, please. I thought I'd done everything possible. They called my name. Wallahi, the smile on my face. I said, oh my God. Then I went to this, I represent the UK in this global final. It was at St. George's Park, England's training ground. So I went to St. George's Park in the Midlands. I stayed there for this crazy weekend. And if youngest people know, everyone talks about the Nike Academy. It used to be run by Nike. So we used to be Nike funded. I'm talking from the tracksuits to the football boots to the trainers.
Then Abdul Malik went on that as well. Then Nicky something like, and they organised competitions.
Street competitions.
That's it.
But if you got into the actual academy, you was the superstar. Amongst my peers, what? I was the guy now. So I've left. I went to the global finals, and then, subhanAllah, long story short, I didn't actually win. Didn't get selected as globally. There's kids from Brazil, Peru, everywhere.
Where did that took place here?
Yeah, in the UK.
Okay. But it also takes place in another country.
Yeah, so every single one that I done, they all done. And we all come together as 40. I'm talking the talent there. Some of the kids I played with now, I've got friends. People ask me, how do you know all these people? I know a lot of footballers. I played with some guys that come from the favelas. Benjamin De Silva is the captain of, he plays beach soccer now. He's captain of Brazil national team beach soccer. Plays for Barcelona beach soccer. This was my guy. Do you know what I'm saying? We used to live together every day. He can't speak English. I'm teaching him English. He knows Spanish and Portuguese. But we live together. So then people don't understand. I've lived with a Portuguese speaking. I've lived with French speaking boys. And all we speak is football. The only language we talk is football.
Yeah, that's the understanding.
That's the only understanding. Other than that, we can't have a conversation. But when we go on the pitch, we can speak. So I just used to get open to life. And alhamdulillah, from the Nike Academy, we used to play clubs. So like I travelled. We played at Wembley against Barcelona. The first leg we played in mini new camp. Second leg we played at at Wembley. Like Ricky PK played. Like it wasn't a joke. Like, they didn't play. Used to go to Paris and we do this whole big exhibition though. So Nike would do this whole massive thing, put us in a 5-star hotel, like the best of the best for these kids. We used to go to every preseason to America, Portland, Nike world headquarters, stay there for 10 days. But I remember I'm from the hood, yeah? Like, I'm seeing Nike headquarters. I don't know if anyone's ever seen it. It's the size of it. They've got a lake the size of Hyde Park, probably. Like the Hyde Park lake in the middle of the compound. Just in the middle of the compound for no reason. They've got like the whole golf sector. They've got basketball sector. They've got football. People in the compound ride bicycles around the thing to get to their meetings on time. It could probably take you about maybe 30 minutes from this side to that side. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I'm exposed to this anyway as a kid. And alhamdulillah, I get signed to Burnley. We played at one of the clubs.
How old were you then when you got signed to Burnley?
19.
19 years old.
So 19 years old, I'm an adult now. The deen is fully implemented in my life. Like, I actively only eat halal food. I don't drink. I'm not trying to be outside like with the man that I'm trying to actually like be seeking.
Practice.
Yeah. And then what happens is that when I get signed, I got exposed to another life now that I wasn't ready for. Like, naturally, I wasn't ready for this. I didn't know that this is what it was. I remember, I'm a footballer now from London, living in Manchester or Brighton, Burnley. It was a different kettle of fish now. Like, everyone I was just a guy, like, oh my God, that Taofiq, like everything. I was just getting dragged here, there and everywhere. Like, and I didn't, I kind of just lost who I was, who I wanted to be anyway. And it was like all the things I did to get there, like all the prayers, all the commitment, all the dawah, all went out the window. Now it's Saturday night, it's a party, it's this, it's spending money on that, it's going to see this, and it's stuff like it's all these negative things that Allah, I think, literally went to me, I'm going to show you.
Do you keep the salah up, the prayer up at least?
Yeah, always. I never lost it.
Even at that stage, yeah?
Even when I've been as far away from my Islam on the eye, I was always connected to my salah.
Okay.
I know my salah is the only thing that saves me. Because I would always pray. Like stuff, I used to say this like to my brother, like I would go to the point of if I did anything crazy, like I perform ghusl and then pray. Like I was tapped, like as a kid, like I would go out and then I would come home, make ghusl and pray. Like, but this is to the extent of how much I feared Allah though. Like I fear Allah, like when people, the fear of Allah is in me, like deep, like and to the point where even my intentions I met when I left my wife at the time when she was my girlfriend, I said like, this has to stop because I want a Muslim wife. She went away for a month. It was about a month, 6 weeks. Then one day just came back and said like, I wanna take my shahada. I said, are you sure? Like, what the hell? Like, I was all confused. Like, she's like, yeah, like I've been researching Islam. Like, I want to take my shahada. She took her shahada and I said, well, now you've taken shahada, I need to ask your mum, can I marry you?
It's like move from one thing to a whole nother.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because it might be like, whoa, marriage, but like in Islam, this is how it works because it needs to be halal, innit? And then I went about the process and about, like, it was quick, man. There wasn't no fancy, no cut.
Simple.
We did it simple in the masjid. I was in Shoreditch masjid, simple. Her friends, witnesses, my brothers, my friend witness. About 6 people did in the car. Then we did walimas separately. I did a walima for the man, them and whatnot in my house. And mum and I cooked and we was married.
Sure.
But what was mashallah for her, which was mad inspiring because my ex-wife was an influencer at the time. So remember, she's like an influencer, very big, and she's come from this whole different life. She's come from like this world of like, in my community, like she's famous. Like I was like, it won't mean nothing to you guys, but like, I was on Shade Borough like constantly.
Shade Borough.
Yeah, it's like this blog page, you know, like the blog pages. Like I walk down the street now. I remember I was known for football. Everyone knew me because I was actually a professional footballer. But I was getting by people on the street because my partner was an influencer. Like, she was famous. I played football and I didn't even get this. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, it was mad. And Like wallahi, like the person, and we went through a lot. So like we lost a child. We lost a child when we was 21. I lost a child when I was 22. We had a stillbirth, and obviously being an influencer, it was she posted. We had to put, because basically what happened, it got to a point, the evil eye was something I was very aware of. I used to always say like, yo man, I don't like posting my stuff. I don't like doing this because of the evil eye. And I always used to think like, because people just look at me sometimes and think, wow, this guy's, he plays football, mashallah. Like, they don't say mashallah though. But they'll be like,
and that's also a problem with the younger generation.
Yeah,
everything you do, the world needs to know.
No.
That's, not
if you
everybody
has a picture of it.
I'm eating, I'm going out, and not everybody looks at you in a good way. There's hasad, envy, jealousy, and that's where the ayn or something comes in.
And I wasn't quite aware of it. Like, I was aware of it, but I didn't know the extent of evil eye could be powerful. I used to always say that Allah is more strong. Allah, don't worry, evil eye can never block a blessing, because Allah is Allah, innit? No black magic or juju is going to stop my blessings. But I wasn't strong on hadith and no understanding of like what evil eye actually was and how it can impact you, even though Allah is Allah. Allah warns you against it for this specific reason of what it can do. And
would you say, like, in terms of playing for Burnley now, or for a youngster, Muslim youngster playing in a football team, especially in terms of it's kind of like in the Premiership or similar, the temptations, the challenges, difficulties are too much.
Too much. Unless
meaning, you're going to have women, you're going to have the alcohol side, you're going to have the parties, the money, and so on.
Wasn't at home.
Yeah. So what advice would you say? Look, but at the same time, you've got people who've kept there. Look, Kante, you've got Sadio Mane, you've got Mohamed Salah, you've got those in that kind of like industry. They're playing professional football, but they've kept certain boundaries there. What advice would you give?
If coming from, I'll give you two. If I'm the parent, if I could do anything possible, I wouldn't let my kid move away without me coming with them.
Okay, that's a good point.
I know you've got younger siblings and whatnot, and sometimes the club's not going to pay for you, but I would actively try and maybe seek a family member somewhere close by, or I would try and implement some sort of discipline or regime that you're used to in your household, rather than giving complete freedom. And I also would tell and my advice would be to the young player, is that try and remember that your success is only going to continue with Allah's say. So you can think that now I've got some freedom, I'm going to be able to be outside or do what I need to do. But remember, this is only given to you because of Allah. Allah wrote this for you, but He can easily take this away if you don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
Be humble in the fact that you're even allowed to be of a standard. And that is what I see with like Sadio Mane, Freddie Kanute, all these players. Like, they're so humble. Wallahi, like, but then I'm like, you know why? Because Sadio Mane comes from a village in Senegal. Like, he's a miracle. He's a walking miracle. He's now lauded by hundreds of millions of people.
No, but they asked him, like, why don't you have Ferrari or something? Because why do I need Ferraris?
Because he grew up in a life where he was happy without a Ferrari. Do you know what I'm saying?
There's also Dembaba.
Yeah.
Remember the sujood, the prostration,
come from
Dembaba and Cisse was it Newcastle?
Yeah.
They're the ones who really started.
Yeah, and I remember facts. I remember first I said, hey, he did the sujood. I remember saying, oh my God, I can't. Because I'm thinking, that's mad. Because even when I went I went to Burnley and they didn't even know what halal food was.
Okay.
I've had to go to the head chef and one day I'm asking him like, yo, is the food halal? What's halal? He looked at me like, what's halal and that kind of. And I had to, one day after I broke it down like, yo, he's like, so wait, you telling me you basically kill it the same way I do? But no, we don't kill it the same way you do. We actually kill it at the least amount of death. So what do you say? Just in the name of God? Does it matter then? I'm like, yo, big man.
Were there any Muslim players with you in Burnley?
Nah, Burnley is not that type of club.
Would you also think in terms of now with, I'll give you an example. So last week, the week before, last week I had a school visit, primary school. The week before I had a school visit, primary school, local borough, Lewisham. The week before that, there was a school that came, or two schools came to the masjid. So I speak about salah, prayer. I speak about sujood. And I asked the kids, primary year 5s, year 6s, I said, look, do you know any player that does that? And I'm expecting them to say, and you say, anybody support Liverpool? Yeah, a few kids put their hands up. Anybody know any Liverpool player that does the prostration? And usually they used to say Mo Salah. They say Muhammad Salah clearly. Now, the point I'm trying to make is, so some of these brothers playing football, you know, in that kind of like pristine kind of like, position, they've normalized aspects of Islam, whether it's the name Muhammad, whether it's a prostration, whether it's confidence about saying Eid Mubarak. So there is a positive, but I think what you've mentioned, there needs to be kind of like, support from older siblings or parents to keep certain boundaries in place. Like you can't send a youngster, because 19, okay, you are an adult, but you're a kid still.
You're very
vulnerable.
Very, that's the word I was looking for. Very vulnerable as a kid.
Especially when it comes down to, women, alcohol, parties.
And I always say, like, so for example, even now, I'll always say,
is there something else?
No, there's not, Siri. I'll say, even with me, even now as an adult, I say like, all right, so we talk about my wife, my ex-wife. I don't really talk about, but like life kind of like, our situation, to bits, I adore this woman. Like we're still we're good friends. Like beautiful sister that helped me a lot. It let me, basically it humbled me into the point where it allowed me to practice Islam whilst playing football because there was no distraction. The temptation was gone. So once you got married early, it allowed me to ground and stay focused.
Was it at 19 you married?
21.
21. So
21.
2 years into Burnley.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I just, and what happened is I just got released. So I've just got released, and that's probably the worst time, not the best time, because it's the worst time for you, because you're going through this whole life stage of like not knowing where you're going to be, what you're going to do. The temptations come back out. And being surrounded by somebody who was keeping me grounded allowed me to just continue to go on my path of Islam until the point where I then, at 22, 23, lockdown happened, and I actively started looking for ways to learn more Quran and Tajweed. And I studied online, Ibrahim College. I don't know if everyone has heard of Ibrahim College. So I did Ibrahim College. I did like basic Arabic, learning for Alif Ba Ta again. I learned as a kid. And just to learn it basic again, so I could actually learn pronunciation, what I would have in the mouth. Then I did level 1 Tajweed, and then I did both and moved on to the next level. And then that's when I started to learn Quran, like, and I could start to read. And I used to say Quran, you know what I'm saying? I said Quran, like, and I used to like, I'm at this point now, I'm feeling like I'm a Trojan. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm feeling like I'm the Muslim. Like my friends look at me as the guy, like the sheikh, like, yo, salam, man. You know what I'm saying? Like my boys would do that now. They would say, but then I say that only came hand in hand because I got married at early stage. SubhanAllah, obviously life happens, and obviously we lost a second child as recent as last year. And then that's when it kind of things got complicated, and SubhanAllah, we're now separated, and we've been separated. So it's like, now I'm what they say, back in the streets, as they say, as when you're a younger boy, like I'm thinking all the things I took for granted that I thought I was past, it's now reminder it's now back. It's all a reminder again that, yo, you thought you was gone. This life is all about ups and downs. Aki, you be tested. Like some people be tested, maybe their parents might pass away. And the reminder of the deen has now left their life. So what are you going to do? Are you going to negate it, or are you going to go forward? And that's like the stage I kind of cast myself in now, where it's like, you thought you were so good because you had comfortability. Allah has removed the comfortability and made you and forced you to be who you are now. And that's why the reason I mention that is because when you say the point about can the young kids lose the role models as Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane, I'm trying to get them to understand is that it will always be ups and downs in your journey, even when you are them. I know Sadio Mane goes through, Mohamed Salah goes through it when he might post a Christmas tree on Christmas and the whole Islamic community comes at him, rightly so, rightly not so. But I come from a non-judgmental point of view, because I realise that just because he's Mohamed Salah, I'm pretty sure if we put the amount of good he puts out there compared to the bad, I don't think we're in a position to be judging him.
Remember one thing, these are not like scholars that will get everything right in everything they do. Secondly, to come into a world stage and just do sujood and show that your Muslim identity, it's not an easy thing. That shows you, him, Sadio Mane. Sadio Mane, they had a picture of him cleaning the masjid, wudu area.
Kanate, yeah.
So these are big things in itself. And these guys are showcasing this, and we are proud to be Muslim. So sometimes the judgmental side, Muslims sometimes become over judgmental.
And that was something I feared as a kid. So like when we talk about the Islamic community now and like in my football, I think I hided a lot of it because I didn't want to. So for example, like I didn't want to be judged by like the Somalian community, for example. Like you might want to one day marry a Somalian sister and they're looking at you like, yo, you can't marry me. You're just a black kid. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? I remember, I think I mentioned it to you when we had the talk. I used to think like I was like the most hated. I was like black and I was Muslim. I was like, fam, everywhere I go now, it's peak for me. I can't tell them I'm Muslim now. They already know that I'm this black boy from London. I'm not gonna say I'm Muslim too. This is like the hardest thing in the world to come out. I felt like I had an identity crisis. It was just wrong to be myself. And that's why when you see guys like Sadio Mane or Ibrahim Konate or like Freddie Kanute, and you see these brothers, you're like, yeah, mashallah. And that's why I take a responsibility on myself. Like, I'm Nigerian and I'm like, yo, for as many Nigerian Muslims there are, as many Nigerians, like, we need some cool role model, cool, what you want to call this cool word. Someone that can say, yeah, well, I'm not perfect. I'm not a sheikh. I'm not a scholar. I'm a Muslim, and I'm gonna show you I'm a proud Muslim, and I will make mistakes. I will be good, but I'm showing you that it's all try and get on this path. Because when it's that day of judgment and our scales are gonna be weighed, you would rather be a trier, than somebody who looked upon it and just say, I'm not gonna do it because I'm not all in. Because do you know what I'm trying to say?
So after Burnley, alhamdulillah, you started studying Islam, Quran, Ibrahim College. Burnley, you've come out of Burnley when you were about 21 years old. What's happened in terms of the football career after that?
So 21, it was a bit hard for me. So I've come out, I remember saying to Ethan Pinnock when he came for the thing, Ethan came out and I said, his agent now was my agent then, and said, I'm going to become, he basically showed the script that you're going to just do what Ethan done. You're going to go into non-league and we're going to bounce you out. And it just didn't go like that. And non-league is like, so under the level of step 5 in English, you have Premier League, Championship, League 1, League 2, classed as the professional leagues, and now the National League, 5th tier, is classed as professional. Anything other than that is non-league, like semi-professional Saturday League. I was playing at them lower levels for the first 2 years of getting released from Burnley. Then I was trying to make the jump back up, and then COVID hit. Had interest and whatnot, COVID hit, and then that's when like it became even harder again. Alhamdulillah, last July, just gone, I finally made it back into professional football, the 5th tier of English football. I was playing for Weymouth. And so if I talk about that stages, it was kind of up and down because of COVID, life and whatnot. I made it to Weymouth. When I made it to Weymouth, this July just gone, I became a professional footballer again. I was training and playing football every day. But in between that, this is when I started to realise I feel like Allah created my purpose, or allowed me to realise what my purpose was in life. I feel like my purpose is to give and help, not necessarily succeed. Sometimes, like I said, I said it to you, I don't know if I'm a person that you could give me 100,000 pounds a week and play in the Premier League and be on Dean. I just don't know if I've had the uprooting to be able to do that, or the discipline that comes with it, knowing that the life I've used to live and the things I'm exposed to previously, am I able to do that? Inshallah, one day I can. May Allah give me that to be able to help it. But what I've realised is that I'm a person to show other young Muslims and black Muslims like, yo, this isn't the life that you want. And if you do want this, you need to be like this. This is the things you need to do. Learn from my mistakes, learn from my lessons, because when it comes to like the area and growing up in the area and wanting to be a footballer, I did everything. Like if you want to talk about as a little kid, sitting in the classroom right now at 8 years old and saying to them, I want to become a professional footballer one day. I did that. Alhamdulillah. Like I did things that people can't say they've done. I've played in places and stadiums people can't say they've done. Sometimes we don't give ourselves flowers from where we come from. I've come from a tough environment, tough area. I made it to a level where I played in front of thousands of fans. I played on BT Sports twice this season already. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? I played on TV. I have my name on the back of my shirt. This was the dream as a kid. Maybe it's not in the Premier League, but I made it.
Of course.
And what I'm trying to show is the younger generation. I started working with kids in school, and every school I'd go to, every kid I meet, he's Muslim. Wallahi. I talked to a kid today, what's your name? I coach in the school at the moment in my off season. I'll just do some extra work coaching in school, lunchtime or after school. Meet a kid, what's your name? He did something So basically, long story short, I have these bags of balls and I put the balls. And while I'm coaching, he took one and then he playing with it and he kicked it over. And he looked at me and I said, come. I didn't shout at him. He said, cheekily, can I have another one? I said, did you ask me for the first one? And he said, no. So I said, you didn't ask me for the first one, you took it. So are you a thief? Do you steal stuff? He's like, no, I didn't steal. I'm not a thief. I don't steal. I said, do you know when you get older and you take something that doesn't belong to you, you'll be regarded as a thief. You steal it. I said, if your mum and dad was at home, if you have your parents, whoever your guardians are, I said, if you took something without them knowing, would it be okay? And he said, no. And I said, so why did you do it here? And he said, you know, kids, when they don't answer. And I said, until you're ready to reflect, just stand next to me, innit? I'm going to carry on coaching. Then I came back and I asked him what his name, and he said, Masood. I said, mashallah. And I said, where are you from? He said, Nigeria. I said, mashallah. I said, what, do you speak Yoruba? He said, yeah. I said, oh, is it? I said, so you're Muslim? He said, yeah. I said, wow, mashallah. I said, as a Muslim now as well. I said, it's a double whammy now. As a Muslim, I'm going to expect better from you. He said, you're right. And he said, okay, thank you. And then I said, I'll go and play. And he ran away. And then for me, it's always like this connection with these Muslim young boys. And sometimes, like even the other day, I was coming out of the masjid and I saw this young Muslim brother. He was coming in the masjid like this, like, you know, he didn't want to be there. And I said, yo, boy, stop. Look at me. I said, smile. He just started laughing. I said, smile, no, smile, man. He smiled and said, then keep that smile because, well, I said, you don't know this, it might go over your head, but wallahi, the rewards you're going to get now for what you're doing, when you get older, boy, you're going to be smiling like you just were smiling. And he started laughing and then he just walked away. And I said, that's the kind of impact I want. When I was younger, I wanted the thousands of fans and everyone to know my name and everyone to know who I am. I don't care about that. I want to be able to impact people on a real level and show kids and the next generation that being a Muslim and being yourself is what you should want to be. And understanding that being a Muslim is so beautiful, wallahi, man. Like, being able to have the benefits. Even when I came to the masjid the other day, like, I can spend hours here with these brothers because I know when I go out, I ain't getting this blessing. Like, and that's what sometimes maybe you might even get, because your environment is built to be around Muslims. It's easy. When your environment ain't built like that, it's hard. Because I'm bringing the Islam wherever I go. The Islam ain't coming to me. I'm bringing it. I'm having to be the guy that if I don't say I'm not coming to this team night out, the next Muslim player says, the guy says to the next Muslim players, but T comes out with us on Christmas. Why can't you? Do you know what I mean? And that's the pressure I put on myself in my everyday life to try as much as I can to be the guy that doesn't get caught or doesn't do this or doesn't do that without just being the human being and being the person I am who will sin. That I'm not perfect, never will be, but trying to show the next generation that, ya Allah, with time, one day you just stop things. It just will stop. You will never go back into that sin or that life because you consistently are making intention to try and be better and try and be a better Muslim. And that's why when you say to me and you ask me, can you come to a podcast? I'm like, of course I can. You don't know what you don't even know what's going on in my life. That Allah said, yeah, bring him on here, take him away for a couple of hours, give him some. You never know, and that's what we don't do. I think as Muslims, because we build our little communities and our hubs. I used to say to one of my good friends now, he's become very practicing, and I say to him sometimes. I remind him, I say like, Aki, like, I said, don't forget me, because there was a time when you wasn't as practicing as you are now, and I was reminding you. Don't think that now because you're now on this level that because you might be with me, it might bring you down. Don't ever think that someone's going to bring you down. Always take the responsibility to uplift and test yourself. And that's what I will say to all young Muslim brothers and anyone thinking that sometimes you will look for other people. Be the person. Hold yourself accountable. Because on the day when you are held accountable, you'll thank yourself because you won't be able to speak and be the judge and the barrister. You will be asked and your hands will talk, your legs will talk, and they would tell you what you have done. And And that reminds me every day, like even when I might feel like doing something, I feel like, yo, man, is it gonna be worth it? Is it gonna be worth the punishment? And that's why when you ask about my football, I always say, like, I get people all the time come to me like, yo, man, why have you not played in the football league yet? Or why isn't this going? And sometimes, and I'm like, you know what? Alhamdulillah, I'm actually happy with my life. Firstly, if you ask me that, because I know a lot of people with thousands of pounds that are not happy. Secondly, maybe Allah is protecting me from something that you don't know I'm not able to with handle. I can't, maybe I can't handle that. So my main thing now is I'm at a status and a level where, you know, kids nowadays, they like to know if it's an ads or a brother, like we talking about speaking, they're going to listen because it's of what they're known for in the dunya. So what I try to find the balance is that I ask Allah for my success in this dunya to be so I can be in the stature that people listen. It's not for me to be able to say, yeah, I'm this guy that has over 10,000 followers, and I don't really care about that. All I want to know is that Allah has given me a status that has allowed me to connect to make this boy and this boy and this boy know who they are. And that's my kind of my story with it. And I want to say my last thing I wanted to go on is that I worked as a TA in a school, in a PRU. So like the units, you know, when kids get kicked out of school when they can't. I met this young boy. I won't say his name. He came from Iraq. This is the time I remember I was expecting my first child. I was expecting a boy as well. Yeah. And this young boy, he was in like year 8 or 9. He's been kicked out of 9 PRUs. He's been kicked out of 9 PRUs. Meaning that, you know, when you've been kicked out of school, they send you to a PRU, this bad school. He's been kicked out of 9 of them. This school I was working in was like the last chance saloon for any kid, to the point where they will just allow them to not come to school and they're just giving up on them and know that in a couple of years they'll probably end up in prison. And I remember sitting down with him and no teachers could connect with him before I got to that school. Me and him connected, alhamdulillah. And he sat there and we was talking one day. And I said to him, like, just tell me about your life. And he said to me, what do you mean? I said, like, so I know you're from Iraq, right? He said, yeah. Both his parents don't speak English. So this is another thing. His parents don't speak English. So anytime you try and connect with the parent and tell him what he's doing, he's the translator.
He's a translator.
You get me? So he's always telling the mixed story. I said, so tell me about your upbringing. He's like, oh, well, what do you mean? He said, well, like when I was growing up, it was a war, innit? So I was like, what do you mean? So he's like, I used to see like just dead bodies and stuff. I was like, oh. So I was like, how did that make you feel? I was like, what do you mean, bro? He's like, the worst, I don't know. The only thing I feel is that no one cares about me in life. I said, what do you mean? I'm asking him, what do you mean no one cares about you in life? He's like, no one cares about me. Because when the war was going on, no one tried to save me. He's like, I used to see dead bodies and dogs eating the carcasses and of the bodies as a kid. And I've never seen my older siblings again. My parents told me they died. So no one's cared about them either. And since I've come to this country, all everyone ever does is tell me how bad I am. And they take me from this place to that place and this place to that place. And my parents have no money. So when they have no money, the elders on the end make me sell drugs. And when I lose the drugs, they put me in debt and they don't care about me. They beat me up or they do this. Bro, this guy is great. Bro, I could have cried that day. But I'm only keeping strong because it confided in me. He's like, sometimes I wish I wasn't here. Like, I wish and this is a young Muslim brother, yeah? I remember sitting here thinking, subhanAllah, I used to like look at life crazy. I used to sit here and I used to think I had it hard. I used to think I was like from the hood and that, like I'm a bad man and that, you know, I don't know. And I got a kid who's 13, 14 years old.
Going for a madness.
A madness. He's got PTSD of dogs. He can't see a dog without screaming his eyes open, like because he's got trauma. He grew up in a war. That's like when I know Somalia, there was a big war back in the day and Somalians came here. I couldn't even imagine what the war was like. And then he's come here and everyone that he goes doesn't know, it doesn't accept him, kicks him out, tell him he's going to go prison, tell him he's just going to end up in jail. He goes and he tries to make bad influences. And what it makes me realize is that Aki's like, and young Muslim brothers and sisters, like, understanding that you're very privileged. You're growing up in a household with good examples.
Yeah.
With parents and guardians who are setting an example for you to be a better Muslim and a human being. Make the right decision.
Yeah, you know, one thing you mentioned it earlier on, and that was when you're speaking about your childhood in Camden and Hackney, and not everybody was a bad boy. You know, most kids were good. And the point I'm trying to make, even with this youngster that you're mentioning, that a lot of people go through difficulties and pressures, and that makes them make decisions or choices which are wrong. But there's a lack of, from others, a lack of sympathy, empathy, understanding. And sometimes as Muslims, especially, let's say it's mosques or imams, we isolate ourselves. This problem that's happening on the street with youngsters, nothing to do with me. This youngster that's going through these difficulties, I don't even show a sense of sympathy. And I might be over judgmental. But if we were kind of like taking care, remember the Sahaba before Islam, they were causing problems. What did the Messenger of Allah do? And how much time and attention he gave. And even, you know, I'll finish off with this hadith where he says, my similitude is a similitude of a man who lights a fire, and moths and insects are rushing towards the fire, and the man is trying to stop them from going into the fire. His similitude is people are rushing towards hellfire, and I am trying to stop them from falling into the fire. The care that the Messenger of Allah had, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we were to kind of like put that with these youngsters, those who've been through, you know, traumas and others and so on, I think the society, the world would be a better place. But Jazakallah khair, Akhi, for your time. It's appreciated, man. You know, you took the time. You don't live locally and you've come. So it's a barakah. Before we finish, the last thing, inshallah, if you can recite some Quran, because we want that to also be part of your legacy, that inshallah people, you know, any surah that you want to kind of like recite, inshallah, people will inshallah watch it.
No problem. Let me clear my throat. So I'm just thinking about what surah one is, right? It's like, can I recite too?
Yeah. Bismillah.
Right, cool. Bismillah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون. Next surah I want to recite is بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. القارعة ما القارعة وما أدراك ما القارعة يوم يكون الناس كالفراش المبثوث وتكون الجبال كالإحن الماثوش فأما من ثقلت موازينه فهو في عيشة راضية وأما من خفت موازينه فأمه هاوية وما أدراك ما هي نار هامية. Forgive me for any mistakes I made.
Jazakumullah khair, bro. Barakallahu feek for the insight into your past. And inshallah, Allah blesses whatever you're doing today, bro. You seem like a very down-to-earth person who wishes only good. So inshallah, Allah blesses you for whatever good you want to do. And again, Jazakumullah khair for coming, bro. Yeah? And we finish off with that. And inshallah, we'll catch you on the next one. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.